If you're not listening to the Smoke World podcast, you're wasting your time, you mortal.
What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Smoke World. I'm your host, Stone. So go grab that stick, go grab a glass of whatever you're drinking. Let's sit back and have that conversation. You can follow me on Instagram at Smoke World Podcast. Email stone at smokeworldpodcast.com. And the website, folks, smokeworldpodcast.com. Today's guest is a guest who has joined me previously, Dr. Lane Rowland, who's a virologist, infectious disease expert. Folks, I tried to bring you infotainment. You know, we get some good information. We have a good time. But, you know, other times I try to bring a guest on who can talk some serious stuff that I think you guys may need to hear. And Dr. Lane Rowland kind of discusses a few things about what we're doing in the lounges. We're smoking, obviously, drinking, having a good time. But he's going to talk about something a lot of folks may not want to hear about because I know you guys may be tired of hearing about it, the Omicron. And he just gives a few tips on basically how to be safe, and he gives his opinion on maybe what other variants are to come. So sit back, relax, grab a cigar, grab a glass, and just listen in, folks. You know, try to have a neutral ear because I know some folks are with the vaccine and some people are not. That's a personal choice. That's your choice. But nonetheless, we're not going to start a controversy here, okay, folks? Enjoy. Chill. I love you. Dr. Lane Rowland, again, thank you for being a guest on the show. Since your last presence on the show, brother, many things have transpired. We now have Omicron on the scene, which was not even, I can't say it wasn't in your mouth. We didn't have a name for it, but you talked about a new variant coming. So what is going on, brother? Talk to us.
Well, hey, I want to just thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your program, Stone. It's always a pleasure to get the opportunity to be able to get on somebody's platform that we can save somebody's life. So thank you. Well, I think the most important thing is that, like we talked about last time, I already knew what was coming down the pipeline because of the different mutations in the coronavirus family. And this new Omicron is an offshoot of a completely different lineage of the coronavirus family coming from patients that are HIV positive, immunocompromised patients. And this virus is an upgrade game changer versus the initial alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. When we look at the delta strain itself, that virus had 13 mutations. This Omicron has 50 plus mutations. It can evade the immune system, both adaptive and innate immune system, has stealth capabilities and more transmissibility and 70 times more viruses in the viral load to affect more people.
Okay, so like I said, now the person who's listening, because again, right now we're about maybe less than 60 days from the Omicron, knocking jokers out like Mike Tyson. So for those who are listening, so again, you broke down as far as the kind of beginning of Omicron as you said it was a patient with HIV, because I have heard that.
Yeah,
Give us a little back. Because for the person who's listening, who doesn't understand all this medical talk like me, give us a breakdown exactly on how this came about with the patient with the HIV.
Well, I mean, the reality, Stone, this is the nature of the coronavirus family, and this is the nature of its mutation capabilities. And this is why people need to understand, if we don't take this stuff seriously, it's going to get much worse. Now what's happening is that you get somebody who's immunocompromised, i.e. they're on some autoimmune disease, maybe they're on chemotherapy, or maybe they're HIV positive. And that virus gets into an individual. The body's immune system, just because of the nature of the immunosuppression or the chemotherapy or medication, they can't mount an immune response to fight that virus. And then what happens, that virus gets the opportunity to live in that human being over time. It could be months, 6 months. For example, the Omicron originated in a 36-year-old black female, HIV positive, out of Botswana, Africa. The virus was in her body for 216 days, and she had no antiretroviral medication, and that virus had the opportunity to mutate. these new mutations, the Omicron, IHU, Omicron variant, are now coming from patients and evolving in patients versus the initial Wuhan strain, which came from an animal.
Interesting. Okay, so now here's the thing, I guess for the layman or laywoman, with this Omicron and the vaccine and how transmittable this is, but the vaccine's not really, and I don't want to say the wrong thing and say it's not working, because they're telling us the vaccine was designed to keep us from being seriously sick or from death. But as the Omicron, like I said, it's like Mike Tyson. It's knocking people out. They're telling us that this particular variant is less severe. But we just hit a peak the other day. I want to say yesterday we hit a COVID death peak. I'm confused on that. Is this Delta knocking everybody out, or is this the Omicron being so transmittable?
Well, the Omicron is put to Delta in second place. But the reality is that the vaccine does not have any vaccine effectiveness against the Omicron family. It's impossible because of the number of mutations. That is why when we look at the numbers and stuff, the cases are going right out the roof. You have to understand the vaccines that folks that are getting is from the initial Wuhan strain. It doesn't have any effect on the Omicron variant, the IHU variant, and this is why we have cases that are going out the roof. You have to understand that when we talk about in the world of infectious diseases, people think that disease is supposed to just kill you. That's what makes it lethal. Well, I work with Ebola. Ebola will kill you within 24 hours. But Ebola is not a very good pathogen because it's a wildfire. It kills everybody in the household. Omicron has figured out where it's subclinical infection, which gives it the ability to affect more people. Maybe you don't get a fever. Maybe just the Omicron cough. You go home, you cough, you infect the whole entire family. That is a much better pathogen than Ebola. It is the same line as having somebody has HIV. The Omicron is now what we call a persistent viral infection in the population, endemic, and this virus is going to be here for a long time. And you're wrong about that because the death rate is high. We have 2,100 people are dying every day from Omicron. If you do the numbers over a year, that's 720,000 plus Americans is going to die just from Omicron. And so this is when we talk about lethality. It's not about lethality. It's about having a persistent infection control in the population by a virus.
Okay, so here's the thing too, Doc, because again, a lot of times we hear information, we get it from the mainstream media, and it may be confusing because you hear the fact that Omicron is not as deadly, it's not as severe as the Delta. But like I said, here we are hitting a peak of deaths. So if it's not the Delta, it's the Omicron. So help me out here. Help us. Again, you can see where I'm getting confused. Whereas though you're telling me one hand, Omicron's not severe. You may be similar to a flu, a cold. You may just have some, sniffles, cough, this and that. But yet, folks are dying. Are they dying from the Omicron?
Now, let me explain it to you so the audience can really understand that in a term they can understand. The bubonic plague, the Black Death in Europe, it took 10 years to affect 50% of the population in Europe. The Omicron has affected 40% of the American population within 8 weeks. 40% of the American population has been affected by the Omicron, the most fastest viral transmission in the history of mankind. Delta took a year. So you can imagine in another 4 weeks, by April 1st, that virus has covered almost 360 million Americans in exactly 16 weeks. That's unprecedented. That is unbelievable. That is the pace of what the Omicron, how infectious it is. This is why we need to understand transmission, i.e. respiratory secretions. And now we know that the Omicron can live on plastic for 8 days. It can live on a cell phone, fecal contamination on pen machines at the Walmart, Wells Fargo ATM machines. So this virus has figured out virulent effectiveness, and it's a game changer.
Okay, so with all that being the case, Doc, so what can one do to protect themselves? What would you recommend? Because again, here we go again with the mask. Let's talk about masks for a second, if I can. You get
One of the
one.
most yeah.
Well, no,
Sorry.
proceed. No, proceed because again, you already know where I'm going to go. You already know. So I'm gonna let you take it from there because now they're telling us that the best protection for masks would be the N95 or the N94. So things are progressing. I understand science; it changes, and I can respect that. But right
Well,
now, what can folks do to protect themselves?
one of the most important things, you need to make sure you listen to Dr. Lane Rowland. I've told you guys 2 years ago about masks. I'm certified in chemical and biological warfare. I'm a mask expert. And I've been telling you from day one, mask has been part of that frontline defense that you have to have. The mask that you have to have is an antiviral mask because we're dealing with a virus. N95, N94s, they're sufficient, but you need to upgrade your game to an antiviral mask that is able to kill the virus and able to use that mask on a regular basis. The problem with an N95 that most folks don't understand is that you take that mask, you put it on, you go out to the pub, you go to Walmart, that mask gets infected on the outside. What are you going to do? How do you clean it? You have to have that mask. You can't wear that mask on a continual basis. You're going to change that versus having an antiviral mask by Tapeta, which you can use, wash, and it keeps its property, and it's very functional, and it does kill viruses and stuff. So that mask, no matter what mask you end up getting, I don't care what it is, cloth, N95, as long as you have something that covers your face and protect you from the outside environment, maybe you might be the person that's infected and you're protecting yourself from infecting other people. As long as you have that barrier, vaccinated and unvaccinated, the mask has to be part of that, your frontline protection to survive and navigate over the next 5 or 10 years.
Okay, now you mentioned an antiviral. Where can one find such a mask?
You can Google them on the internet, but TapetaBiosecurity.com, we have antiviral masks, and we're the ones that are providing these antiviral masks to universities and to people.
Nice. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about this vaccination because there's a big fight with the anti-vax, the pro-vax. There's a big thing going on here. And there's a word I've been hearing with these, and I hate that, I'm not going to say anti-vax, the people who chose not to get the vaccine. How about I say that?
Well, yeah, I think that's a bad word because just because you refuse to get a vaccine doesn't make you anti-vax.
Right, I agree.
I'm not vaccinated, and I would never be vaccinated with this coronavirus vaccine platform. I don't believe in it, but I love vaccines. I vaccine children all the time in the jungles, from diphtheria, measles, mumps, all the different vaccines. I'm vaccinated, and I tell people the best vaccine for the coronavirus is the pneumovax vaccine that will prevent you from getting pneumonia. So that word, when people say anti-vax, that's a politically charged word because it's not true. Most people love vaccines, and that doesn't mean because you do not believe in this vaccine that you're anti-vax. You're just smart. You're waiting for the science to prove why this vaccine works. And we know, folks, when we look at the real world and look at a petri dish, a cruise ship, a perfect example of how effective the vaccine is in the real world of Omicron. Everybody's negative before they get on the boat. Everybody's fully vaccinated, and you still have an outbreak. Cruise ships are shut down. You're quarantined. It shows you the vaccine has no vaccine effectiveness against the Omicron. And if you really believe in the vaccine, like I've said before, you need to know what your neutralizing antibodies are. You get the vaccine, what's your numbers? I know what Pfizer makes is 250. You folks only know what your neutralizing antibodies are. You're running around in the dark. So that is why I told folks a year and a half ago that you will be getting booster shots, 2, 3, 4 booster shots a year, because the vaccines do not have what we have long-term immunity or coverage. That is why vaccine is only one small part of it. And at the end of the day, your natural immunity is going to be better than the vaccine.
Okay, speaking of natural immunity, now let's say one gets COVID. You're exposed to COVID, now you got COVID. Now, you recover from COVID. How long does your antibodies kind of last before one may be susceptible to getting COVID again?
On the average, when people get a natural infection with the coronavirus, and we've already proven this scientifically, that your natural immunity antibodies last about 6 months. So you might have about 6 months of protection, and that is a great thing. But you have to understand, in this world of different variants, alpha strain, beta strain, delta strain, Omicron, you still have to do biosafety security protocols. You better wear a mask. Even though you did get infected and you recovered, you have some immunity for protection. You can be reinfected by a different strain, i.e., you might get the Omicron strain infected now. Well, you might go to Miami and get the Delta strain. Maybe you go to Las Vegas and you pick up the Alpha strain. So you still have to practice that biosafety security protocol to protect yourself, because you can be reinfection. But on the average, if you get infected with a particular strain, you have about 6 months of protection.
Okay, about 6 months. Okay, now I got some myths here because, again, I've been talking to some folks and people got these ideas. I said, I'm going to ask the doctor, find out if these things are true. Now, you have these folks who say, okay, I'm taking, natural remedies. I'm taking my vitamins, my vitamin D. I'm doing all this. I would never catch COVID because I'm in good shape and my immune system, I'm keeping it up to speed. Is that a true statement? Can vitamins or things that you take over the counter stop you from getting COVID?
Not in a million years. That is completely, you might as well go join Peter Pan crew in Neverland.
All right. Speaking of Peter Pan, hey, I might go there with you tonight with the Peter Pan because I didn't find the Three Little Pigs. I didn't find that. Another question I do have in reference to getting COVID. If you get COVID, God forbid, does it actually weaken the immune system overall, over a time period? Does your immune system weaken, or the body is a natural thing that can do different things and it actually can rebuild itself?
Yeah, I mean, the body's going to fight the infection, and the body's going to get worn down. Yeah, you're going to use up your white blood cells and your lymphocytes and T cells and B cells because you're doing that, and your immune system will downgrade, but it will recover as the infection gets out of your body and your body gets tuned up again.
Gotcha. Okay, now I'm going to apologize because I may be catching you cold on this because I just found out about it. Now, I just saw something in an article that stated, the question was, could weed smoking, marijuana smoking, prevent one from getting COVID? Have you heard anything about this?
I've heard about that, and I still wait until the science to see that, but it doesn't matter. I don't care if you drink a glass of chocolate milk. Once that virus touches your cell and your lung, it's going inside. There's nothing that can prevent anything from preventing that virus from going to your cell besides your own neutralizing antibodies. So you can smoke 1 pound or 2 kilos of marijuana. You breathe in some COVID, you're going to get COVID.
Okay, so those are myths. Throwing it out the window. Like I said, wait for the science. Stand by to stand by.
Absolutely.
Stand
100%.
by. Stand by to stand by. All right, so now I know you have some, again, give us the website. Give us your website. Give us how we can follow you on social media because you're doing big things. You're giving out great information. We need to know where you're at.
Well, I appreciate it, and people can follow me on IG at Dr. Rolling or on Facebook and stuff. And our website is www.tapedabiosecurity.com, www.tapedabiosecurity.com. And we have all the technology from oxygen, tanks to antiseptic hand wash to air purification units, antiviral mats, everything that you can build in this space as an infectious disease arena, biosafety security protocols. We have that. Okay,
now your website, brother. You said what's the name of that again? Because some people went to public school like me and may not know how to spell exactly what you just said.
Let me spell it for you. It's www.tapedabiosecurity.com. www.tapedabiosecurity.com. And if you go to my Instagram page, Dr. Rolling, the link is there, www.tapedabiosecurity.com.
Okay, gotcha. So now for all my lovers of the leaf, my brothers and sisters out here who enjoys the leaf, now what could you tell them? Because again, a lot of folks, we still want to go to the lounge, but again, we got to be careful. These things become super spreaders. We enjoy what we enjoy. Yeah, so what would you tell us, brother? What would you tell us? You gonna break us up? You gonna bust our bubble?
No, I'm not going to bust your bubble. I mean, that's the chance you take in life, like with anything in life. But you have to understand that in a closed environment like that, you have to be careful. If you're going to go into a lounge like that, my recommendation, make sure you guys have some air purification unit that can scrub that air and bring that viral load down in that air because somebody will be infected. But hell, I would like to go in there and continue to smoke your cigars and continue to drink your cognac and your brandy and enjoy life. We only have one life, but make sure you protect that life by creating the best biosafety security protocols around yourself. Create that what we call the smoke shop bubble.
Smoke shop. Hey, I like that. Hey, man, I'll make a T-shirt. The smoke shop bubble. I can use that, right? Now, I'm asking you. Hey, I can rock with that. The smoke.
Create your smoke shop bubble.
Smoke
Go
shop
in loud,
bubble.
hit your people. Pull your air purification unit out. Suck that air right there. Smoke your cigar. Enjoy your brandy.
Well, I'm telling you, smoke shop bubble. Okay, I'm rocking with that. Well, look, Doc, like I said, before I let you go, my brother, is there anything that you want to, maybe I didn't ask you, or that you want the folks to know?
No, I think the most important thing is that we're going to be talking again, and we have a long ways to go. There's a new variant out there now that you guys are going to be hearing about now, and you'll start seeing the cases in the next month called the Omicron Stealth, which is a cousin of the Omicron BA1, and it's going to be a game changer. But the most important thing is that I know people are tired, people are fatigued, but we have to make sure that you continue to keep the pace, because a lot of people are going to be injured and stuff. And make sure you follow people that know what they're talking about, because this is a long ways to go. And the reality is that we're all going to get to the other side. And like we say, I want to get to that lounge and have that bubble, and we can smoke some cigars together.
Absolutely. But now, hold on, Doc. Now, you just threw a monkey wrench right at the end. You just said a new variant coming out. You just kind of did that real smooth, too. Yeah, you're going to know about a new variant and bop. Hold on, bro. Hold on. Really? You just told us and just dropped it like that and just dropped the mic and walked off the stage. You got to give us.
True, too.
I'm sorry, brother. You got to give me just a little bit. I'm going to have to hold you for another minute or 2 minutes. You got to give me a little bit of breakdown on that. What do you know? What are you hearing? Is this going to be worse than the Omicron? Because, again, Omicron is very transmittable. Is this going to be like a cousin? They're going to be transmittable, more lethal? What do you heard? What do you know? Yeah, that was kind of good, Doc. You just kind of smoothly dropped that bomb and walked off.
Well, we call it the Omicron Stealth. It's the Omicron BA2, which is, you can't pick it up on testing. So that was going to be driving a new narrative probably in April to the rest of the year. And so that's going to be a game changer, too. That's why this Omicron infection is going to sustain itself, because of its cousin, Stealth Omicron. So you have to be smart, protect yourself, make sure you know what variant is coming down the pipeline, and make sure you understand what's happening. Follow me, Dr. Rowland, because my responsibility is to get you to the other side.
Brother, what can I say, brother? Appreciate you coming on the show, sharing information that the folks need to know. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Dr. Rowland, folks, thank you, sir. Again, get an Instagram out one more time.
Yeah, Instagram is at Dr. Rowling at Instagram, and I want to thank you, Stone, for having me on your platform. And I think tonight, even the information we get out, even if we make the effect of saving one person's life, we've done our job, and I appreciate that, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Doc. Take care, brother. Appreciate you. God bless, man. Well, folks, there you have it. Another episode of Smoke World in the books. You can follow me on Instagram at Smoke World Podcast. Email stone@smokeworldpodcast.com and the website smokeworldpodcast.com, folks. Again, I'm just trying to make sure we get together sometime in the near future. Dr. Lane Rowland, wanted to thank him for being a guest, sharing some information, answering those tough questions that we all may be thinking about. Guys, look, appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will check you out on the other side. Peace.